Hey, I'm Ryan Reynolds. At Mint Mobile, we like to do the opposite of what Big Wireless does. They charge you a lot, we charge you a little. So naturally, when they announced they'd be raising their prices due to inflation, we decided to deflate our prices due to not hating you. That's right. We're cutting the price of Mint Unlimited from $30 a month to just $15 a month. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 up front for 3 months plus taxes and fees. Promo rate for new customers for limited time. Unlimited more than 40 gigabytes per month. Slows full terms at mintmobile.com.
It's Saturday the 6th of July. I'm Ciara Evans, and this was a week that saw Britain get a brand new Labour government, a big win for Donald Trump in the Supreme Court, trouble for Macron in France, and Serena Williams gets spicy.
Grab a cup of something hot, put up your feet, and get up to speed on the 7 biggest stories of the week. This is the Standout 7 from the Smart 7.
It's news,
but not the news. 7.
Oh my God.
That was the sound of the Sky News team seeing the first election exit poll on Thursday night. It showed Labour with a projected 410 seats against a possible 131 for Rishi Sunak. As the night played out, it became clear that Labour had won a historic majority, with Labour's Bridget Phillipson the first MP to win a seat. Then just after 5 a.m, Labour became the new ruling party of the United Kingdom with 412 seats. Labour leader and soon-to-be Prime Minister Keir Starmer spoke from a Labour reception in the Tate Modern.
We did it! You campaigned for it, you fought for it, you voted for it, and now it has arrived. Change begins now.
Now, former Prime Minister Rishi Sunak managed to hold on to his seat in Richmond and North Allerton, but he conceded that the Tories have lost the election and that he'd called Sir Keir Starmer to concede.
The British people have delivered a sobering verdict tonight. There is much to learn and reflect on, and I take responsibility for the loss. To the many good, hard-working Conservative candidates who lost tonight, I am sorry.
Counting continued across the morning, and some big-name Tories, including James Cleverly, Jeremy Hunt and Kemi Badenoch, retained their seats, while former Prime Minister Liz Truss made history as she lost hers. And altogether, more than 10 Tory cabinet ministers lost their seats, including Grant Shapps, Penny Mordaunt and former Business Secretary Jacob Rees-Mogg. He was sounding disheartened on LBC, saying the Tory party had abandoned its core voters.
We're going down like ninepins, and that is the conclusion of this evening, and I'm very sorry to see Penny has lost her seat.
After 8 attempts, Nigel Farage finally won a seat as an MP in Clacton, but despite the exit polling suggesting Reform might win as many as 13 seats, in fact, they only won 4. But Nigel was promising an aggressive opposition style.
It's not just disappointment with the Conservative Party. There is a massive gap on the centre-right of British politics, and my job is to fill it. We're coming for Labour, be in no doubt about that.
Lib Dem leader Sir Ed Davey had a good night with his party benefiting from tactical voting, and they've won 71 seats.
Now, I don't know if you could tell, but I've rather enjoyed this campaign. But what I've loved most hasn't been the paddleboarding or the bungee jumping. It's been speaking to people here in Kingston and Surbiton and across the United Kingdom about the challenges they face and their hopes for the future.
Rishi Sunak returned to Downing Street to address the nation from the podium, although at least it wasn't raining this time. He again apologised to the nation and accepted responsibility for the election loss.
I have given this job my all, but you have sent a clear signal that the government of the United Kingdom must change, and yours is the only judgment that matters. I have heard your anger, your disappointment, and I take responsibility for this loss.
Sir Keir Starmer headed to Buckingham Palace for his formal meeting with the King and to accept the responsibility of forming the next government. Next stop was Downing Street, where he addressed the nation for the first time as Labour's 7th Prime Minister. He struck a positive note, addressing those who didn't vote Labour and promising a government that will be unburdened by doctrine.
My government will serve you. Politics can be a force for good. We will show that. We've changed the Labour Party, returned it to service, and that is how we will govern. Country first, party second.
6.
US President Joe Biden's poor performance in last week's presidential debate continued to cause shockwaves across Democrats this week. It reopened the discussion as to whether the 81-year-old is mentally fit enough to continue serving as president, with the man himself acknowledging that he's not as sharp as he used to be. It's also given Republican nominee Donald Trump the chance to get away with a series of lies at the debate. American historian Alan Lichtman, who correctly predicted 9 of the last 10 election results using his 13-key system, says debates don't actually matter that much.
Republicans have no principles. Democrats have no spine. Republicans are sticking with a blatant liar who lied for every 1 minute and 20 seconds of that debate. And by the way, lies stick. Debate performances can be overcome. And now the first sign of adversity, the spineless Democrats want to throw under the bus their own incumbent president.
Joe's opponent Donald Trump had a significant victory on Monday in his fight to delay and dismiss the various cases against him in the run into the presidential election. He'd asked the Supreme Court to rule on presidential immunity, and while he mightn't have got the total immunity he felt he deserves, he did get a sweeping ruling that will make it much harder for Special Prosecutor Jack Smith to hold Donald to account for his January 6th actions. The court found with a 6-3 ruling that presidents have absolute immunity for official actions, but could have some liability for unofficial conduct. However, the judge in the January 6th case, Tanya Chutkan, will have to untangle what is and isn't included. President Biden spoke on the matter on Monday night, saying there are no kings in America, and agreeing with dissenting Judge Sonia Sotomayor.
Today's decision almost certainly means that there are virtually no limits on what the president can do. This is a fundamentally new principle, and it's a dangerous precedent, because the power of the office will no longer be constrained by the law, even including the Supreme Court of the United States.
The repercussions from the US Supreme Court ruling on presidential immunity continued on Tuesday. Donald Trump had asserted that he should have absolute immunity from prosecution as president, and while the Supreme Court didn't go all the way, they handed him a big win. The decision had an immediate impact as his legal team lodged a motion to dismiss his conviction in New York on felony charges based on the immunity case, and Judge Merchant has now postponed sentencing until at least September 18th. Tuesday also saw former New York Mayor and Trump lawyer Rudy Giuliani disbarred for his role in false election claims in 2020. CNN legal analyst Norman Eisen says the immunity only refers to official acts, and Donald could still be in plenty of legal trouble.
The Supreme Court did not give him the immunity he sought from basically all of his actions while president. They made a distinction. Official acts are immune, but unofficial acts, you can be prosecuted.
A New York Times poll published on Wednesday saw convicted felon Donald Trump with a 6-point lead over his Democrat rival Joe Biden. It came as the media and Democrat donors are in the midst of a frenzy of speculation and anxiety about whether or not Biden should continue as their nominee after a shaky debate performance. Names have been floated, including California Governor Gavin Newsom and former First Lady Michelle Obama. In fact, in one poll, she was the only Democrat who placed ahead of Trump. Biden himself says he's staying in and did a call on Wednesday with the White House staff. He was backed up by his Vice President Kamala Harris. Kristen Wolfe of Democrats Abroad UK says if anyone was to step up, it should be the VP.
We have a Vice President who at any moment is always ready to stand into the office of presidency if and when called upon to do so, and that person is Kamala Harris.
Thursday saw Donald Trump weigh in on the Democrat debate with some unpleasant views on both Joe Biden and his potential replacement Vice President Kamala Harris.
How did I do with the debate the other night?
Oh, amazing.
Keep that old broken down pile of crap.
Yeah.
It's a bad guy. He just quit, you know. He's quitting the race.
Is that right?
Yep, I got him out of the race. And that means we have Kamala. I think she's going to be better. She's so bad. She's so pathetic.
Last Sunday saw hundreds and thousands of voters head to the polls for the first round of France's parliamentary elections. It comes after French President Emmanuel Macron finally bowed to the pressure from the far right and called for a snap election after his party's disastrous performance in the EU polls last month. But the decision quickly backfired as the far right National Rally Party topped the first round standings with an estimated third of the vote and looks poised to win a majority in the lower house of Parliament for the first time. Voters head back to the polls on Sunday for a second round of voting, but National Rally leader Marine Le Pen was already celebrating.
Fellow citizens, democracy has spoken, and the French people have decided to put the Rassemblement National and its allies at the head of the vote and have basically wiped out the Macron bloc.
French President Emmanuel Macron met with his top advisors on Monday to discuss how to cope with a far-right surge that threatens to see his party removed from power. Macron's gamble of calling a snap election doesn't seem to have a payoff, despite the stark warnings from Marine Le Pen's National Rally Party. They scooped up 34% of the vote in the first round of the process. What follows is a complicated procedure in which weaker candidates drop out to avoid what is known as triangular, and there's still some hope that Le Pen might not win an overall majority. A wave of dropouts and strategic manoeuvring by the left and Macron's group appears to have made a National Rally majority less likely. The second round of voting takes place on Sunday, and historian Andrew Smith of Queen Mary University says one thing is already clear.
We don't know the results of these, the second round and what's going to happen, but we do know right now that Emmanuel Macron has lost his bet.
Russia has continued to hammer Ukraine with missile attacks this week, while Ukrainian forces have had to withdraw from part of the strategic location of Chasiv Yar. It's expected the US will shortly announce a new aid package worth as much as $2 billion, but the flow of aid to the battlefield has been slow. With Hungary currently the president of the EU, leader Viktor Orban has been engaged in diplomacy with a visit to Kyiv this week and a return visit to Moscow on Friday. That visit was criticised by EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, who warned appeasement of Putin was a route to disaster. But Orban continues to push for a ceasefire, and with Donald Trump leading in the polls, there's considerable pressure on Ukraine because it's not clear how US policy would shift if he won the election. Ukrainian President Zelensky was calling for clarity from Trump on Thursday.
If Trump knows how to end this war, he should tell us today, because if there are risks to Ukraine's independence, we want to be prepared for this.
Still to come on the Standout 7, Lucy Leppi found guilty again, and BBC News headlines Glastonbury.
Right after this.
Temp check. What kind of summer are we having this year? A family road trip summer? A beach bum summer? Or a wake me up when the sun sets summer? With Instacart, choose your own adventure and skip the shopping side quests. Where available, you can get ice cream delivered to your hotel, sunscreen to the pool, or cold brew to your bed. Well, door in as fast as 30 minutes. Wherever you find yourself this summer, you can get the goods. Download Instacart for free delivery on your first 3 orders. Offer valid for a limited time. Minimum $10 per order. Excludes restaurants. Additional terms and fees apply.
Welcome back.
Lucy Leppi was convicted last year of murdering 7 babies and attempting to kill 6 more. The former nurse was convicted and sentenced to 14 whole life sentences, but she's been back in court for the last 3 weeks on charges of attempted murder of a premature baby girl known as Baby K. The jury found her guilty of attempting to kill the 2-hour-old baby on the same ward where 7 other infants had died. Friday saw her sentenced to another whole life order, even as she proclaimed her innocence from the dock. Speaking outside the court on Tuesday, Senior Prosecutor Nicola Wynne Williams of the Crown Prosecution Service described how Leppi was interrupted in her attempt and subsequently attempted to cover up by interfering with the child's breathing tube on multiple occasions.
These were the actions of a cold-blooded, calculated killer. Our thoughts remain with the family of baby Kay and the countless others affected by Leppi's crimes. The Crown Prosecution Service would like to thank all those involved in this prosecution for their help in securing justice in this case.
We're almost halfway through Wimbledon, so there's no better time for one of the all-time greats of tennis to make an appearance on the world's most viral show. Yep, Serena Williams has just made an appearance on Hot Ones. She won 23 Grand Slam titles and 7 Wimbledon titles, and now she's set to face the fire of Pepper X. The episode is available now on YouTube.
So I grunt because growing up, I liked this tennis player named Monica Seles. She had this really cool grunt. I was like, Then my grunt just became like
So there's an ongoing debate about the value of the post-game press conference.
The things you want to say that automatically pop up in your mind. Like, why did you lose today, Serena? Well, because I sucked.
Last weekend saw a glorious Glastonbury as tens of thousands flocked to Worthy Farm for this year's festival. Coldplay made history by becoming the first act to ever headline the festival 5 times, and their set was full of surprises, including an appearance from Back to the Future star Michael J. Fox, who joined the band on stage to perform Fix You. But the biggest surprise of the weekend was BBC fact checker and part-time DJ Roz Atkins, whose drum and bass remix of the BBC News theme took the festival by storm. He explained how it all came together.
Well, when it was announced that I was going to be playing Stonebridge, quite a few people on social media sent me messages basically saying, why don't you have a look at the BBC News theme? And I thought, okay, maybe. And I sent a message to David Lowe, composed it. He said, I'm up. Then I called up Chris, who's A, and said, would you be interested? And he said, let's do it. And the three of us have been working on this remix, and Chris just did a brilliant job. So to play that at the end of the set was a big thrill.
You've been listening to The Smart 7. We'll be back tomorrow at 7 a.m. Hit that follow button and have a great day. Give us 7 minutes and we'll give you the world.